So it's pretty much accepted knowledge now in VR circles and subreddits that Oculus is no good for very large room scale. And for that, you'll really need to get a Vive. However, since then, Oculus has released a number of updates every month, pretty much, improving upon room scale tracking. And they have finally released the experimental tag from their room scale tracking setup. So I thought it was worth trying that out again. Now, since I'm in England and our houses aren't McMansions with massive rooms everywhere, the biggest room I have is actually in the garage. I've tried to clear it up as much as possible, and I've managed to make 3 meters by 5 meters of space here, clear to test out in. Now we're going to test both 2 and 3 sensor setups. I've set it up first with 2 sensors, one in the corner over there, another over there. So in opposite corners, pointed towards the center of the play area. My computer is actually mounted into the roof up here because that's the only way in which it really makes sense with the cables. The thing about having webcams connected to try and track you is that you need a USB cable running to your computer for each one. So the only feasible way of doing that was to mount it in the center of the play space. So to be honest, I have noticed the tracking improving quite a bit in the small room that I usually use the Oculus Rift in, but I don't use it that much for room scale stuff nowadays. It's mostly for simulation racing games, and I tend to play room scale on the Vive. So I did think it was worth revisiting the idea of room scale on the Oculus, pushing it to the limits and seeing exactly what's possible. Now obviously this isn't ideal. You can't all mount your computer in the middle of the room. The more USB cables you add in onto extending the cameras, the greater the chance of them messing up. Now the ones I'm using at the moment, they do reach fine. They're just Amazon Basics 3 meter USB 3 extension cables, and they are known working cables. I've used them before, so that should all be fine. And then as Oculus recommends, we're going to use a USB 2 extension cable for a third camera when we get to testing that. So without further ado, I'm going to try and set everything up. I haven't actually run through the boundary setup or the sensor setup yet. I've just plugged everything in, turned the computer on, and checked the headsets activating. So this is incredibly frustrating. I don't know if you can hear it. It keeps playing the little USB disconnected, connected sound. I know these cables are fine. I was using them in the other room. I've got 4 USB 3 ports on this computer. I've plugged the headset and the 2 sensors into those ports, and it's worked before just fine, but only one of them is being detected as USB 3. The other one was being detected as USB 2. So I took that out, tried another port, and now it's not being detected at all. It's just turning on and off. So I've shifted one over to an Innotek 4-port USB 3 card. That's working fine, albeit with USB 3, but with a warning saying the driver needs to be updated. I'm pretty sure that's normal. And now it just won't recognize the other sensor at all on my motherboard's USB 3 ports. Let's try again. So I'm still not entirely sure what was wrong with that setup, but I've swapped out the sensor, not the cable. I've swapped out the sensor, and it's now reporting as USB 3. So maybe I've got a faulty sensor, who knows? I've never had a problem with it before. But first let's try with just 2 sensors out of the box, set up with some extension cables, and we'll see how that goes in this room scale area. So tell a lie, having now attempted to reset sensor tracking, they're now both reporting USB 3 poor tracking quality, so I can't actually continue. I guess I'm going to have to swap the cables around again and try again. This is annoying. I have changed literally nothing from 2 minutes ago, and now when I try to detect the sensors again, it doesn't say error. This time it just says USB 2, USB 3, okay. So it's downgraded one of the sensors from 3 to 2, and it's seemingly solved by itself the tracking problems it was having. So I had a little go with 2 sensors just now. It was absolutely appalling. I've decided to just skip that test entirely. I think it was unreasonable to even expect that that would work. If you see anyone on the internet saying, I've only got 2 sensors, I can do my whole room just fine, they probably live in a shoebox. That does not work on this sort of scale, so I've gone ahead and added in a 3rd sensor anyway. Unfortunately, Oculus is still telling me 2 of the sensors are only connected to USB 2, even though they're on the exact same controller with the exact same cables. But whatever, we're going to have a go anyway. So I've managed to get past the sensor setup where it asks to see one of your touch controllers, and we're just going to see how far we can get with the rest of that now. So let's have a go. Oh yeah, so it's asking me to adjust the front position, telling me the sensors are too far apart. That's fine, we know that. We're going to go ahead and skip that step. Let's see if we can actually set up the boundaries. So it is, oop, missed a bit there, I think. It's not really seeing that. All right, I can't go that far, so I'm going to try curving around here. Up, that's not working. Okay, I can't quite get to the edges of my play space here, but I'm trying to, nope. That's no good at all. Okay, I think we might have something there. This seems to be all right. Oh, nope, skipping there. Well, that's odd. That camera must be completely out because it doesn't like any of that. Nope. Nope. Wow, no, we really can't yet. Well, I can't get anywhere near the whole space, but I think we've got a complete area there. We might be able to continue with what we've got. Very messy, but yep, that. And for some reason, it's detected my play area. The optimal space is just this tiny little square over here. Just this little square. Cool, cool, Oculus, cool. Okay, this dangling cable is really getting annoying now. All right, so we've finally got things running, I think, sort of. I've established a sort of boundary as best as I could, although I couldn't really get to the edges. It just refused to read where the controller was. We've got 3 sensors set up. These are both on USB 2, though I really hope that wasn't the USB sound of one disconnecting. This one's on USB 2, that's on USB 3, that's on USB 2, as recommended. I've got them in 3 corners of the room. Again, we're in a 3 meter, 5 meter play space. I think this is just going to be pushing it too much, but let's see. So let's just have a quick wander around the room. I think I've got the boundaries turned on. I might have them turned off. Let's see. Nope, there they are. All right, I hope you can see that there. Okay, that's actually pretty solid around here. Great. Yep, there's no jumping around or anything here. Let me just have a quick look. Where's the sensor? Okay, so we appear to be in direct sight of that sensor at the moment, so I would expect this to be okay. Let's keep wandering. I'm just going to wander around with the headset first, around the borders, and see if the world moves horribly. Oop. Oh god. Yep, that's moving horribly just about there. The entire world is moving, not good. Carry on. Okay, yeah, so this is kind of making me feel sick right now. It's, not good. Okay, I'm at the borders here that I established earlier. Funnily, the hand tracking seems reasonably good, actually, but the head tracking, it keeps jumping around wildly, and that's very off-putting. Again, over here. All right, this seems to be working all right here. Again, I'd expect that. I think we have a camera right there, so this should be okay here. Again, though, the world does keep moving quite a bit for me. Here's no good. It seems to be jumping a lot. Oh, don't know where my hand went. So in this corner, I would expect it to be pretty bad. Yeah, look, we've lost the controllers completely there. Basically because there's no camera here at all. And this one can't see it, that one can't see it, that one can't see it. So I wouldn't expect any tracking over here. And then let's go back to the roughly where the center is. Where's my center? Here. And in the center seems to be, oop, dodgy there. Fairly solid here. All right, so far pretty good. There are some very dodgy spots, but actually overall it's not bad. It is working, which is more than I expected, to be honest. All right, we're in Tilt Brush. Good to see they finally added support for actual Oculus touch controllers, which is nice. Let's go, let's go. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick revolution. Oop. Oop, that was my cable. That doesn't count. All right, that's not bad. Where am I getting? Now let's head to the boundaries. Ooh, right now I've got Oculus and SteamVR's boundaries on, so let's try to walk around what we've defined. Up. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad at all. Keep going this way. Oh, it's stuck there. Nope, doesn't want to go there. Come back, we'll go this way. See, actually, that's not bad at all. There's a couple of jumps I can feel here and there. Oh, that went quite badly. I'm probably at the edge there. Okay. Oh, that was a miserable failure. Can't really, no, here's no good at all. Let's try and go diagonally back then. All right, so actually, it's not bad. As expected, where we don't have any coverage with a camera at all in that corner, it's done pretty badly. It's also done pretty badly in that corner. Close to the cameras, I guess these two corners are fine because we've got the third camera there, which can also sort of see those corners, I think. But it does kind of sort of work. It is a lot better than I was expecting, I've got to say that. All right, so what have we learned today? Well, I think it's fair to say that from a feasibility perspective and the sheer size of the room, Oculus Rift cannot reliably track on this much of a scale. Even with 3 sensors, we do have a lot of dead spots in the corners particularly. Now, I don't think that surprises anyone, but it is important to test these things, I think. That said, I am actually quite impressed that it still functions pretty well, even with the sensors placed that far apart. We have managed to get a fairly reliable sort of 3 by 3 meters area, I'd say, in the center here, where it's working pretty well. But bear in mind that the camera sensors are having to be placed about 1 meter further back from that square in order to be able to see the whole area. So if your room is literally 3 by 3 meters, you're going to have even less of a playable area. Playing with the cable dangling down behind you like this from the center, it makes it possible to have a room this big and be able to use it, but it's actually quite impractical and really does get in the way. It's quite annoying. Still, I'm pretty impressed with how far Oculus tracking has come in the last couple of months. When the touch controllers first came out and this whole idea of room scale was a thing for Oculus, it really couldn't have handled something like this reliably at all. It could barely even handle a small space reliably without lots of hiccups. And yes, there are still hiccups, but far less than I was expecting, to be honest. So that's it from me. Check out the rest of our videos, especially the 1 year later HTC Vive versus Oculus Rift video that I've done. It's quite long, but we go into quite a lot of details about the headsets and which you might want to choose. I also learned why I hate moving this computer around. I spent about 2-3 hours today trying to get those sensors set up, constantly changing cables, changing sensors, changing USB ports, changing positions, until I finally settled on a place where it was error-free and mostly working. That's not something I particularly like to spend my time on. So if you are someone that needs to move your system around, you're absolutely still going to want a HTC Vive for that, because it's so much easier to take down and set up somewhere else compared to the Oculus. That said, it does work eventually. Anyway, if you appreciated this video, please hit like and subscribe, and don't just subscribe, hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button. That'll get you notified whenever we publish a new video. We do 2 gadget reviews and giveaways every single week, plus the occasional VR demo, DIY tech tutorial, that sort of thing. And if you didn't like this video, please just keep watching more of our videos anyway. Eventually, I'm sure you'll come to like us. Maybe. If you have any comments, you know where to leave them. Until next time.